Well, if you guys weren't sick of us yet, we're back for another episode this week. We are on episode 19. Um, just to kind of tease what we're going to talk about today, we've got obviously college football recap. We're going to dive into that every week through the rest of the season. We're going to talk a little bit about what we've seen from the MLB playoffs so far, and then believe it or not, we're already a third of the way through the NFL season, which is kind of crazy. I feel like we're only like 2 weeks in mentally, but we'll dive into what we've noticed in the NFL too. So as Bears fans, that's a happy topic. So we're going to keep the Chicago people happy in this week's episode. But Sean, let's get ready to roll in, man.
Sounds great.
Yeah, we're almost at the point where our podcast episode count can legally drink. So haven't quite gotten canceled yet, but we're just showing up for another week of honest work here. And speaking of honest work, pretty entertaining college football weekend this past weekend. So I think we can start there. This was a game that I called, upset that I called. I just had a good feeling about it, but Arizona State moving to 5-1 with an upset over number 16 Utah. How about that?
Yeah, I picked Utah. That didn't go too well for me, but man, ASU's playing some good ball right now. They were projected, I think, to have like 4 wins this season, and they already have 5 on the board, so they're looking really nice.
For those keeping track at home, that is one better than their projection. So,
in case you guys need a little help with math, but. Yeah, ASU looked pretty nice, man. Their running back Scatabo, he's really fun to watch. I don't know if you've watched any of their games, but he's pretty entertaining to watch.
Yeah, he's been there for a couple of years. I think I've seen him play a little bit. Kind of the most surprising thing to me is, a big reason I went with Arizona State in this game was because just the unknown of Utah and their quarterback situation. But Cam Rising played, and Arizona State still got the dub. I know it's Cam Rising's first game since probably the first couple weeks of college football, but, he threw 3 interceptions, and I got to pull it up here, actually, because a little bit of relevant news with Cam Rising as well.
Yeah.
He's been on Utah since 2020, and I think it might even be longer.
No, it's 2020. Longer than that.
And he just got approved for another year of eligibility, so... I don't think he's going to take it, but at this rate, he maybe he already is. I don't know. But if not, if he does take it, he's got to be like the longest tenured college football player ever. So,
no, that goes to the tight end on Miami. He's on year 8.
I for some reason, I think that's what Rising got. I think he was in 8th year of eligibility.
It's crazy, but
yeah. Some people just can't give up the college life, man. It's too hard for them.
You know what? If you're going to a fun college, I can't really blame you. Really nice win by ASU. They've got a pretty tough slate here moving forward. So if they can win a couple more big games, I think they'll put together a really nice season, and they could have an exciting bowl game. So next game I wanted to talk about, LSU beat Ole Miss. That might just kick Ole Miss out of the playoff unless they'd have to have some crazy wins right now, but they're already at 2 losses for the season. LSU looked pretty nice. It was only a 3-point game. Nussmeier had over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, threw the ball 51 times, and under a 50% completion percentage. So that part's a little alarming, but overall just a big win for LSU.
Yeah, I think Ole Miss still probably has a shot to make it. I'm kind of with the expanded playoff this year, anticipating that about 2 losses is going to be the max that a team can have to make it in, and Ole Miss will have some more tough games coming up, but definitely a little bit of a slide for the Rebels here. And LSU is a team that they started off the year with a loss to USC, and since then, they've won 5 games in a row. They're looking pretty good. Garrett Nussmeier, not really saying a whole lot given the current outlook of what NFL first-round quarterbacks looks like, but he might be playing himself into a possible first-rounder in this upcoming draft if he decides to leave. But, yeah, LSU just kind of quietly putting together a really, really good season since that loss to USC. Their schedule hasn't been like a gauntlet by any means, but, I mean, hey, being able to beat number 9 Ole Miss, that's pretty impressive. And, I said it before the last time Ole Miss lost, and I'll say it again. I think at this rate they're just getting to the end of Lane Kiffin, and I think that maybe they should just fire him and move on because, 2 losses, unbearable. I think they're going to be calling for him to get fired, and I truly think they should do it. So,
yeah, I'm sure you and all the other Florida fans agree. Yeah, I mean, LSU's been really nice since they lost to USC to start the year. They've looked really good. They've rebounded really well. So another team that's having a pretty nice season, Illinois. They survived. They survived
a
scare
Saturday,
from Purdue. Dude, they survived a scare from Purdue. That would have been a pretty big upset in itself, but they squeaked away with a win. So another nice weekend for Illinois.
That was a double-digit spread, I believe. I want to say it was at least 14. I want to say it might have even been 20. Purdue was without their starting quarterback. It took 50 points for Illinois to beat Purdue, and it took overtime, which is pretty wild. But, Illinois is 5-1. That's great, but, they're Illinois, so at any given week and at any given time, things can bottom out. But they look legit, and they got an interesting one coming up this weekend, which we'll get to, I'm sure.
Okay. Another game, Penn State with a pretty nice win on the road at USC. That game was really close, and just honestly overall, just a pretty impressive win for them on the road. Again, they're 6-0. They're putting together a really nice season, pretty quietly putting together a nice season. I mean, they're ranked 4th overall, or they were last week. They might have bumped up, but Penn State's looking pretty nice so far.
Yeah, they've. It hasn't always been pretty for them this year. I feel like they've been in some games where they've struggled at times. Obviously, being 6-0, that means that they ended up pulling it out. But Drew Aller's putting together a pretty good year for them, their quarterback. So he's kind of helping drive them to their undefeated start here. And I know they got some good players on defense too. But it's just fun getting some of these weird matchups that we're not quite used to yet, like Penn State and USC. That's a Big Ten game now. But USC, I mean, we just talked about LSU bouncing back. USC's 3-3 now, so they've kind of fallen off quite a bit since they got off to a good start this year. So it'll be interesting to see how they continue to look. I know lately it's been a struggle for them. We'll pull up their schedule here. Let's see. Yep, they've lost 2 games in a row to Minnesota, which is a bad loss for them at least, and Penn State. So they got Maryland coming up this weekend. I'm sure they'll probably bounce back, but tough couple games here for USC.
Yeah, the rest of their schedule's not too bad. Maryland, Rutgers, Washington, who hasn't been playing that well, Nebraska, wild card, UCLA, and then Notre Dame. So the rest of their schedule's pretty manageable. But, I mean, again, with conference realignment, too, you just never know what to happen because these teams don't really know each other that well. Texas, I think we both kind of saw this one coming, took care of business against Oklahoma. Oklahoma just really hasn't looked that impressive this year. I don't think we need to dive too deep into that game.
No, the only comment I'll make is I think Texas just continues to establish themselves as the early best team in college football so far.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be Ohio State, but oh boy, that is a different conversation we need to have. And I think that's a good next conversation, honestly. Will Howard and Jeremiah Smith, the highly touted freshman wide receiver, really just kind of lost the game for OSU last weekend. Howard just was not paying attention to the time on the clock at all, and Jeremiah Smith with an offensive pass interference to push Ohio State back again, which, in hindsight, you don't have that yardage lost, and they're already in field goal position, and Will Howard doesn't even have to run for it. So kind of just really boneheaded plays back-to-back, and Ohio State lost because of it.
Yeah, they were on like the 30, and when that pass interference, right before that pass interference play happened, and At that point, I was just like, oh, Ohio State's going to walk away with this. They're just going to run the clock out and they'll kick a last-second field goal here. But then, things got a little bit interesting. I will say before we kind of get into the end results here of the game, one thing to mention is good for Oregon, good win. They have not looked that good this year. I was fully expecting Ohio State to win that game based off how both teams have looked so far this year, but Oregon rose to the occasion. It was at home, which probably helped them, but just a good back and forth game for the most part. And then things got interesting there in the final minutes, and there's a big debate in the sports world as to, did Dan Lanning intentionally put 12 men on the field for the end of that play? Genius. I don't know
he
if
said
he
yes.
did.
He said yes.
He has to say yes, though. That's the thing. Like, he never brought it up. Someone brought it up to him and asked him, like, hey, did you do this? Any coach is going to be like, oh, yeah, I did that. Like, I don't know. Either way, if he did it or not, that just, I've always said, like, I love that dude as a coach. If I were a player, I would love to play for him. He just is like the type of guy that's a culture builder, program changer, and if he's got a big enough football brain to pull off a move like that we haven't quite seen before, then that makes him, even more impressive as a coach than he already is. But probably a pretty good win. I shouldn't say probably, a really good win here for Oregon. And now it'll be interesting to see how they respond after this. Do they continue playing well? Do we start to see the Oregon team that we thought was just going to, plow through everyone? Or are they going to look how they've looked for most of the year, where they, win, but, it doesn't always look good. So I'll be curious what that looks like after this year.
Dude, I think every college in the country would handpick Dan Lanning as their head coach if they could. The only college I would say that wouldn't would be Old Bama, because obviously, you're not going to kick out Nick Saban for Dan Lanning. But now that Saban's retired, I think literally any school in the nation would take Dan Lanning as their head coach. He's just such an awesome head coach. He's great at recruiting, great at building that culture. Last piece I'll say here about this game. Will Howard completed the ball 28 times. 19 of those completions were to Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Egbuka. So he only had 9 other completions to all the other wide receivers, which is pretty wild. So clearly,
sounds about right.
Yeah, clearly targeting his favorite targets there. But I think Ohio State will be fine for the rest of the year. Just kind of a tough loss for them. All right, do we want to talk about our favorite college football player of the entire year so far? The whole world's talking about Ashton Genty.
He had a bad game. He only averaged 7 yards a carry. It was a bad game.
He's still, I think my favorite thing about Ashton Genty is the way that he stands in the backfield. People are like, this dude looks like Mike Myers. It's pretty funny to watch. I don't know if you ever watched. Stands
still.
Yeah, it just looks
I try to. It's unfortunate they play so late, for you it doesn't matter as much, but for me they usually don't kick off until about 9 or 10 o'clock, so I try to watch him if I can. But he's funny, man. He's the talk of the town every week. It's unbelievable. Another game for him, over 200 yards. He had another touchdown, carried it 31 times. For most people, 7 yards per carry would be phenomenal. For him, he was probably like, damn, I could have had more.
This is a shit game, yeah. Well, good news, Sean. They do have a couple games so far on this slate for this season where they're 5 o'clock games for me, which means at that point it'd be 8 o'clock for you.
7.
So you can, when the time changes in November.
Yeah, so it's not November yet, so.
Well, those games will be, Sean, okay? But yeah, man, Ashton Genty, he's just been incredible to watch this year. I think a lot of people have him as the Heisman favorite, and honestly, if he keeps this up, it's going to be hard not to pick him. So, last game, I'll let you take the reins here. The Tennessee-Florida game, I'll let you take the mic.
Very surprising outcome. I did not think that was going to be a close game whatsoever. Billy Napier is just waiting to be fired at this point, and he probably knows it. Everyone kind of knows it. Florida had a chance to win the game if they wanted to near the end of regulation, where they could have went for 2. He lined up to go for 2 and then pulled everyone back and went for 1. I think for him to not go for 2 there was kind of sad. Like, what do you have to lose? Your team stinks. You're not going to make it through the end of this year, maybe. But you definitely won't be back next year. So it's like, if you can do anything, winning Tennessee will give people something to positively to say about you by the time your tenure's done. But Tennessee just Nico Amelava didn't look good. He looked like a guy who has in his first year starting, just kind of all over the place. Biggest story from the game is probably Florida losing Graham Mertz to a torn ACL, so he's gone for the rest of the year. It sounds like he'll be around in some capacity, but the silver lining to that is it gives the way for DJ Lagway to play now. Unfortunately, he's stepping in at the hardest part of Florida's schedule, so true freshman's going to get tested really quickly here, but it'll at least give people something to watch for the rest of the year. But I don't know, it just seemed like Tennessee played down to Florida. Maybe they overlooked them a little bit. But yeah, Florida just kind of hung in there most of the time, and then the inevitable happened where they had a chance to put it away, chose not to, and lost. So,
yeah, I think Graham Mertz going down is probably the best thing that can happen to you guys. And I mean, you hit the nail on the head, right? Like, DJ Lagway is going to have a tough slate here. He's got Kentucky, which plays Florida. Even if they're shitty, they still play Florida pretty hard. That's like Virginia Tech for Miami. They've got Georgia, they've got Texas, they've got LSU, they've got Ole Miss, and then they've got Florida State. So he's got a really tough slate of games here coming up, but he's a talented quarterback. I mean, I think that this could be a really good experience for him. He might just have to learn a lot of lessons the hard way because, to be honest, like, Florida doesn't have a ton of talent around him. I mean, they've got a nice running back. They've got a nice running back in Montrell Johnson.
They're deep at receiver, too. They don't have any, like, Heisman names, but they got a talented receiver room.
I mean, they just need to know how to, like, find the ball then, because Graham Mertz, like, I feel like none of Florida's wide receivers really, like, made a name for themselves with Graham Mertz, but maybe that'll be different with DJ Lagway, and honestly, for their sake, you kind of hope it is.
Elijah Badger's become a pretty good receiver this year.
Yeah, he's an ASU guy.
Yeah, he's a transfer. DK from Wisconsin, who played with Mertz before. They had some pretty good chemistry, but I mean, he's not a guy that's going to throw for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns, but he's going to get you 200, a touchdown or 2, complete 75% of his passes, and not turn the ball over much. So now it'll be a little bit different. Probably going to be some turnovers in the mix, but you got a guy that can get you 400 or 500 yards passing on a good day, and so we'll see. We'll see. It's going to be a good test for him, for DJ Lagway stepping in here, but looking forward to it.
I'll say, if anything, dude, it's exciting for you to see, like your potential future at quarterback here and kind of watch him just bloom right in front of your eyes. So that could be nice. Yeah. All right, let's make picks for this week.
I got it pulled up here.
Okay.
So we got Friday night. Friday night. I didn't know this. I just was like, oh, let's see how Oregon responds. Well, they got Purdue. So I'm going to go with Oregon on that one.
That's a no-brainer.
Yep. And then this could be a good game. We got Oklahoma State at BYU on Friday night as well. I've kind of faded BYU the last few weeks, but I'm going to pick them here.
Dude, not many programs have as much momentum as BYU does. I mean, Oregon, I think, is one of them. Even Clemson. Clemson's got a lot of momentum right now, but I'm going to take BYU. They're kind of on fire right now.
We got Michigan and Illinois at Illinois. I am going to take Illinois in that game.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Illini.
All right, Kevin. Next up, we got Miami and Louisville.
I'm taking Miami. Louisville's pass defense is really poor. I think Cam Ward's going to have a pretty nice game. Again, if you're listening, I've said in previous podcasts, Mario Cristobal historically does not play well off a bye. So if they don't come out hot, I wouldn't be shocked. But I think Miami wins this one.
I'm gonna roll with your piece of advice, and I'm gonna take Louisville. I'm gonna see how smart and accurate you are.
I hope not, because that means we lose.
I hope so.
I know you do. You're waiting for it.
We got next up. We got Virginia at Clemson. I'm rolling with Clemson, who they look very good this year too.
Dude, that's an easy pick. And Virginia's 4-2. They're having a pretty nice year, but they're not going to beat Clemson.
Next up, this is an interesting one. Nebraska at Indiana. Indiana is 6-0, ranked 16th. I'm actually going to take Nebraska here, though.
I'm going to take Indiana. They've had some really nice quarterback play out of Rourke. He's got 14 touchdowns, only 2 picks. So I think he'll have a pretty big game. It's at Indiana, too, so I'm going to take the Hoosiers.
Yep, they got James Madison's coach from last year, and he's stepping up and making Indiana just as entertaining as JMU was last year.
Yep.
We got Auburn at number 19, Missouri. I'm going to go with Missouri.
Yeah, I am too. If Auburn was even decent this year, I think I'd probably pick them, but they're really bad.
Here's a fun one. First time in the rankings this season, we got East Carolina at number 23, Army. I'm rolling with Army.
Same. You see who's the quarterback for East Carolina?
Nice.
Jake Garcia from Miami.
That's your boy.
Dude, he's got 12 interceptions. This is a no-brainer. It's going to be Army.
That's your boy. That was the future, man.
Man, I thought so.
Probably the biggest game of the weekend. No, not the biggest game of the weekend. Hold that thought. Alabama at Tennessee. This is going to be an interesting one. Both teams are not playing well lately. It's in Tennessee. I think I'm going to go with Tennessee here.
I'm going to go with Bama because I haven't been that impressed with what I've seen from Nico Melikaliki-Maka. So I'm going to take Bama here just because I think this stage is going to be too big for Nico.
All right. We got Notre Dame at Georgia Tech. I guess I'll go with Notre Dame.
Dude, okay, so I picked Notre Dame to be upset last weekend. They won 49-7. It was nowhere near an upset, but I think I'm going to double down here. Georgia Tech looked really impressive early on in the year. They're still 5-2. I think I'm going to take Georgia Tech here.
Kind of a trap game for Notre Dame, to be honest. Georgia Tech's, they're okay. They're 5-2, which that's a good record, but
it's a home game for them too.
I don't really know much about them. Another fun one here, Kevin. First time ranking this year. We got Charlotte at number 25, Navy. I'm rolling with Navy. I want Navy and Army to both be undefeated when they play.
Dude, if they were both top 20 teams, that'd be sick. So yeah, I'll take Navy here.
We got Texas A&M at Mississippi State. I'm going to go with Texas A&M.
By a lot.
LSU at Arkansas. This screams trap game to me. I'm going to get a little nutty, and I'm going to pick Arkansas to win this game.
It is a home game for them, but LSU's looked so nice after the first game of the year. I'm going to take LSU here.
All right. Biggest game of the weekend here. We got number 5 Georgia at number 1 Texas. I'm going to take Texas. You're looking at, in my opinion, a team that has looked the best this year versus a team that, despite being 5-1, it's kind of been underwhelming. I'm going to roll with Texas. I think they get a really, really big win here this weekend.
Look, normally I would take Georgia here because this is an absolute must-win game for them to, pretty convincingly secure a spot in the college football playoff, but I just don't see them beating Texas, so I'm going to take Texas too.
Yep. Texas, if they do win, I can't bet here in North Dakota, but their next game is at Vanderbilt if they win this one. And if I were a betting man, for fun, I would throw money on Vanderbilt to beat Texas. Could you imagine?
They got Florida after that too, so you could double down there.
No, that'll be ugly. Next up, we got UCF at Iowa State. I didn't know much about UCF till I watched Florida dismantle them. I'm going to go with Iowa State here.
Yeah, I mean, Iowa State's won a lot of their games pretty convincingly. Their closest one was against Iowa, who, honestly hasn't looked too bad this year. But I think Iowa State's playing some good ball. I'll take them.
Last couple games here, we got number 17 Kansas State at West Virginia. I'm going to go with Kansas State here. It's kind of been our little team this year, so
yep, same.
Keep that train rolling. And then last one, we got SMU at Stanford. I'm going to go with SMU.
SMU's hot. I'm riding the SMU train, so yep, I'll take them.
actually, that works out great. I was gonna say I was just checking the baseball score, which leads into our next segment here, MLB playoffs. So since it's relevant right now as we're recording, I know it's not the order we had, and I apologize for going out of order here and ruining the rest of the episode, but Yankees and Guardians. Yankees, it is the top of the eighth. I'm guessing this inning just took a 4-3 lead. So
Judge and Stanton went back-to-back with homers.
That hurts. And now it is heading to the bottom of the eighth. So Yankees are up 2-0. Despite me picking in our revised MLB playoff bracket, despite me picking Cleveland to go to the World Series, man, this is a series I've had a hard time getting behind. I really have kind of only tuned in when there's nothing else going on. But for those who maybe haven't tuned in at all, the Yankees are up 2-0 tonight. It's Thursday night while we're recording. This is the first game they're playing in Cleveland. It's pretty much been all Yankees this series. They haven't played great, but they've been able to handle business. Cleveland earlier tonight took a 1-0 lead. That was their first lead of the whole entire series. So it's kind of been all Yankees, and don't really have a lot to provide besides that.
I mean, like, for us, we watch a lot of AL Central baseball in general, so it's easy for us to be like, who cares about the Guardians? But the Yankees have been interesting because they have not been a juggernaut this postseason, but they've gotten hot when they've needed to. And I think that that's almost more dangerous than just looking dominant overall. So I don't know. We'll see if it continues in the World Series because they're on pace right now to go up 3-0 in the series. But that team is just hitting home runs at the right time. And sometimes with baseball, that's just all you need.
I will say with Cleveland, too, the thing that's been tough for them is they're obviously a team that doesn't have a star-studded lineup, but Jose Ramirez has kind of been struggling this postseason. And when, you can get by playing teams that aren't the Yankees or the Dodgers that spend all this money on players and, 1 through 9 can compete with anyone or be better than anyone that they see on any given day. But for Cleveland to have Jose Ramirez kind of be such a hole in their lineup, that's been hard for them to come back from. And we're kind of starting to see them struggle a little bit here against the Yankees.
Yeah, absolutely. The other series we've got is Dodgers-Mets. Dodgers currently lead the series 2-1. Yep. They're playing tonight as well. Yeah, we've got Game 4. It's Yamamoto against Jose Quintana, which White Sox fans, that name should ring a bell. Jose Quintana's pitched really well at home. He's got a 3.64 ERA at home, so I would expect a good outing out of him tonight, but the Dodgers they've kind of been that dominant team this postseason, right? Like I talk about how the Yankees really haven't been like a juggernaut. The Dodgers, on the other hand, kind of have. So I think the Mets have an uphill battle. I would be surprised to see them win this series, but they've also gotten hot at the right time. So who really knows? I don't know what to expect out of this series, to be honest.
It's been weird. Mets got pummeled in Game 1. They came back and won Game 2. They got pummeled in Game 3. If this series follows any trends that we've seen so far, Mets got another soft-tossing lefty on the mound. Dodgers struggled against Sean Manaea earlier in this series, so maybe that gives the Mets a little bit of a... did I say Dodgers have?
No, you said Mets.
Okay. So Mets got Jose Quintana on the mound tonight. Maybe that helps them, get back on track here. But, it's just... I don't know. Maybe we're seeing a little bit of an end here to the Mets magic, or maybe they're just kind of getting warmed up again, and they're just gonna do what they do and come back and battle back again. But Dodgers are tough, and Dodgers have been pulling off some pretty big wins in this series when Shohei Ohtani has mostly been irrelevant. He had a homer in. I don't even know if he had a hit in the series against the Mets until last night when he had a 3-run home run or 2-run home run to extend their lead. But I mean, last I checked when I was watching the start of the game, he was hitting like 222 in the postseason. So just as for a guy who hasn't been in the postseason yet, just getting off to a tough start, which is that's just sad to see. You really hate to see it, but I don't know. I feel like Dodgers will probably wrap this up, and I think unfortunately we're going to get a Dodgers and Yankees World Series, which ESPN will be salivating. I will not watch a pitch of that, I don't think.
Shohei only has 7 hits in all of the postseason. So 5 games with the Padres, 3 games with the Mets. He only has 7 hits. So, yeah. I mean, overall, just not really. His average is 226. So, but to be honest, man, they haven't really needed him to step up too much. So they're very lucky in that regard. Let's jump to some NFL talk. We've got Week 6 recap. One of the biggest stories, and this is kind of a big year of rookie quarterbacks, right? I feel like there's a ton of stories with rookie quarterbacks. Drake May did make his first start against the Texans. Did you get a chance to tune into that at all? Did you kind of like watch any highlights? Did you just check the box score?
I saw some highlights. He ended up doing better than I thought he was going to do. I thought it was a tough matchup for him. He finished 20 of 33 for 243 yards, 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Honestly, not bad for a first NFL start. If I was a Patriots fan, I'd probably be happy with that. You know, you're going against a Houston team that's tough, and looking back earlier in the year, Caleb Williams didn't even throw a touchdown against Houston. He threw 2 interceptions. Yeah. So, for Drake May to be able to throw 3 in his first NFL game, and that's something to hang your hat on and something to be excited about. Moving forward, and the Patriots need something to be excited about. So
let's talk about a quarterback who doesn't really have a whole lot to be excited about, and a quarterback that we're both not really that excited about, Spencer Rattler.
He made his debut too.
Yeah, he was kind of forced into a start. He did not look really all that great. 22 of 40. 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. He threw for 243 yards, quarterback rating of a 60. So,
I honestly
really not that great.
Be worse.
Yeah, I mean, same, but the final score is 51-27. So there's a lot of garbage time for him to pad his stats. So
Baker Mayfield with a classic 4 touchdown, 3 interception game.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, not a whole lot for Spencer Rattler. I mean, I don't think he'll be a quarterback in the NFL. I think his ceiling is a backup, but I don't know.
He's got to play again tonight, so.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot they're playing against the Broncos. Man, what a quarterback matchup tonight.
Yeah, man.
All right. Honestly, maybe one of the bigger headlines of this past week, the Lions absolutely beat the shit out of the Cowboys. Amazing game for them. Not so amazing. It looks like they lost Aidan Hutchinson for the year. Pretty gruesome injury. I don't know if you saw it yourself. It was pretty disgusting, but that's a pretty big blow to a team that already struggles on defense.
Greg Jennings can play with a broken leg. Why can't Aidan Hutchinson?
You're going to have to ask him. But, yeah, they beat the shit out of the Cowboys 47-9. Just an absolute domination.
Tough loss. I mean, Detroit's obviously a team that's built and they've spent to win now. So, begs the question, what do they do if they do anything to bolster their pass rush here? You're looking at a guy that was off to a fantastic start in Aidan Hutchinson. Maybe would, if he kept up the pace he was playing at, maybe would have won Defensive Player of the Year. But now they got a big hole. I don't know. I don't know what they do. I don't know who they look at. I know Max Crosby's a common name. He's a Michigan kid. I would hate that as a Bears fan. Truly would hate that.
Nightmare.
But I don't think the Raiders are going to deal him. But definitely Detroit's going to be calling around trying to see what they can drum up here, I think.
I think so too. I mean, their defense isn't really all that impressive. And Terrion Arnold, he's a rookie out of Bama. He's one of the most penalized cornerbacks in the entire NFL. So even in their secondary and their DBs, they're struggling. So there's just going to have to be a team that has to put up a shit ton of points every night in order to win games. And luckily for them, they've got the offense to do it. So,
yep.
Jaden Daniels had a pretty nice game. Lost to the Ravens. He was actually just announced today as Offensive Rookie of the Week again. Some people would say that Caleb Williams got robbed because his numbers were better.
He really did the last 2 weeks, actually.
Dude, if that's what's motivating Caleb the last couple weeks, then just keep giving it to Jaden. I don't give a shit.
I'm like, I don't trust me, man. Like, we will never. Like, I hope it doesn't get to a point where 10 years from now we're talking about if he would have won Rookie of the Week, but like, it's just like, holy, like, what does this guy need to do to get a damn award?
If you look at Jaden Daniels' pass charts, too, it's pretty eye-opening. I didn't realize it until somebody mentioned it on Twitter, but he's got a lot of dump passes, like, across the middle, and his receivers are just getting pretty big yak. Caleb's pass chart looks very different. I mean, he's spraying the ball all over the place.
I also saw some numbers today, too, from Pro Football Focus, and I don't know the exact percentage off the top of my head, but it's like Jaden Daniels is like 4th or 5th in the NFL among quarterbacks in terms of percentages of most likely to throw to their first read. And it was like 72% of the time he's most likely to throw that. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, Caleb Williams was like 66% most likely to not throw to his first read. So he's going through his progressions. And this is turning into a debate of Jaden Daniels versus Caleb Williams, but I mean, like, I respect Jaden Daniels and what he's doing, and he's off to a fantastic start. I personally didn't think he would be this good. I didn't think much of him heading into the NFL, but just in terms of, like, what Caleb's done so far and what he looks like week after week, I know Daniels is, like, the sexy guy who's taking home the awards and the flashy running plays, but maybe I got my biased Bears hat on or something, but I would much rather have Caleb than Jaden Daniels. And I've even seen some people say, if the Bears could go back again, they'd draft Jaden Daniels. I don't think they would.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But also, like, I think about it this way. It's like, I understand why people compare, but, like, why can't both organizations just have a good quarterback?
Right.
Why does it have to be one or the other? Why can't it be both? You know what I mean?
Granted, Washington did have RG3 before, the injury and stuff, but like 2 organizations that have desperately needed a good quarterback too.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, we're living in a world where the Washington Commanders and the Chicago Bears both look like they have a future quarterback. That's unheard of.
It's wild. Yeah, I mean, I get the comparisons, but, like, I don't know. I think both guys could end up being dudes at this higher level, throughout their career.
And since it's relevant and since we're talking about it too, Bears got a bye this weekend. But coming out of the bye, we're playing Washington, and it's in Washington, and the game got flexed to the afternoon slot, the 3:25 Eastern slot. So it'll be a nationally televised game, so not only are fans of both teams buying into their quarterbacks, but national media, national spotlight is buying into, and they're putting them as rookies in a nationally televised game where they flexed out the Eagles and Bengals, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, neither teams looks really that impressive, the Eagles or the Bengals. Neither one of them.
But if you would have, I mean, at the beginning of the year, if you would have been like, hey, Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels are going to get a nationally televised game over Joe Burrow and Jalen Hurts, I would have been like, well, who got injured?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah,
what am I missing here?
Yeah.
Let's dive into, this is a storyline that kind of matters to Bears fans, but also not a whole lot. Steelers offense is still struggling. Justin Fields seems to be being benched right now for Russell Wilson.
He is being benched.
Okay. So Justin Fields, now quarterback 2, Russell Wilson stepping up. He's going to get a chance to start. It also seems like they may have some clubhouse stuff brewing because George Pickens has kind of been shady in the media with Pittsburgh media. So I don't know. It seems like this team, honestly, is a lot like what we know about the Bears, where it's like they're in a transition phase. They just don't know what that transition phase looks like.
Yeah. I mean, they are another team that, like, they're pretty much built to try and win something now. Their defense is expensive. They're only getting older. They got some some weapons on offense. They maybe could use a little bit of work with maybe getting a couple extra guys there. But, you know, Fields wasn't horrible. I think people really, really got a little too strong into the whole 3-0 start. When you sat down and actually watched him play, he wasn't great. We were seeing pretty much the same guy that we saw in Chicago. Just had a little bit better of a record on a little bit better of a team now than he was last year. But still kind of showing the couple drives I look like, hey, I actually might be the future of this team. And then the next drive, you look like you've never played quarterback before. But tough situation for him nonetheless. I mean, you're 4-2. It's hard to bench a guy when your team is 4-2. That's still a good record. But I think for a team like Pittsburgh, you know, their standard is a little bit different than most other teams. They've got 6-7 Super Bowls. So for them, you know, they're trying to get to that next one. And for Mike Tomlin, who's been nothing but successful during his time in Pittsburgh as a head coach, he has a standard too. And he's like, yes, we're 4-2, but I think we could be better. Let's see what we can do with Russ at quarterback. And sounded like Fields handled it well. I don't know if you caught his media clips today, but he was like, look, if I was playing better, this wouldn't be a conversation. So, you know, maybe he improved his stock a little bit. Maybe he gets another chance to start. I don't know if that'll be, I don't know. There's so much that Pittsburgh has to figure out too. Like, they don't even know, but is Russ going to be the guy? Are they going to sign him to a longer deal? Do they go back to Fields and then decide, hey, I'll sign him? Or do they look elsewhere? Like, they got a lot to figure out. Unfortunately, that means both guys got to play, and in this situation, then obviously Justin Fields is going back to the bench, so he's the one that gets punched here, or gets the gut punch here. But I don't know. I'm interested to see what they look like with Russ. I don't think it'll be much better. Maybe it is. I don't know. He's kind of been irrelevant for a few years, but we'll see.
I think they're both game managers right now, right? And they're at two very different parts of their career. Russ is coming towards the end of his career. Justin Fields is more of just like a game manager than he is like a franchise quarterback. And, you know, like, part of this also falls on the responsibility of Steelers fans, because, like, after 3 games, we're like, franchise quarterback, Bears, what were you doing? You wasted away a great talent, yada, 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 yada. Yeah, we fleeced you, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, like, it's been 3 games. If we had the same assumptions about our quarterback after 2 games, we would have been like, well, Caleb Williams is the biggest bust in the history of the NFL. So you just got to give it time. And honestly, I think that this year is going to be pretty eye-opening for Pittsburgh one way or another. Either Russ will come into his own and have flashes of his old self, or they're going to go back to Justin Fields and not know what the hell to do.
Yeah, I mean, Russ has been hurt too. You know, he could go out for the first game, and obviously you don't want people to get injured, but that's a factor too. You know, he hasn't been healthy this year, so what's he going to look like? For those who are watching, and I don't know if you caught it, I was giggling a little bit. That is because Shohei Ohtani hit a home run in the top of the first tonight against the Mets. So biting my words a little bit.
He wanted you to talk shit sooner. All right, last thing let's dive into, and then we'll drop a trade that happened. NFC North is looking pretty dominant this year. The worst team is 4-2. That's the Packers and the Bears are both sitting at 4-2. Lions are sitting at 4-1. Vikings are sitting at 5-0. Point differentials across the league, I think the NFC North has like 4 of the top 5 in point differentials, which is absolutely insane. Obviously we still have to play each other, right? So like these numbers are going to change pretty drastically in the next like 8 weeks. But dude, this has got to be the best the NFC North has looked probably in my lifetime.
Top to bottom, I think I'd agree. Whoever set up the schedules to have all these NFC North games in the back half is like, there's going to be
dude, they're salivating.
So much to unpack here over the last half of the season when you got games against your other NFC North teams. But you know, it's amazing just how good this division's looked. I think maybe we can say the Vikings are probably the biggest surprise this year. No one probably had them at 5-0, especially after JJ McCarthy was out for the year, because you know people were just saying how long is Darnold going to start. He's just a bridge to McCarthy, but Darnold's playing some great ball, man. And Yeah, these NFC North games are going to be nasty, and
It's gonna be fun.
it's gonna be fun watching it play out.
I'm looking forward for my heart to break for certain games, and honestly, like for us Bears fans, like Packers are always going to be the biggest games, so I'm looking forward to those. All right, last topic.
If we only have 2 division wins and it's against Green Bay, I'm good, man.
Yeah, same. Last topic we've got here for NFL recap is Davante Adams traded to the Jets. Sean, you picked this team. I wanted to pick the same just because we know Aaron Rodgers.
No hesitation. This was the easiest call of my life.
Yeah. So it's kind of an interesting move. Like the Jets already had pretty good weapons, but if you have a chance to get Davante Adams, you go and get Davante Adams.
I think it's a little surprising to me, which I talked about last week, is just because there's so much going on with the Jets. They just fired their coach, season's not looking that great. I didn't think maybe Davante would want to go there, but at the end of the day, he's tight with Aaron Rodgers, wanted to reunite with him. So, as it was surprising just based off the current outlook of the Jets, the overall destination wasn't surprising at all to me. So, interesting though. They got Garrett Wilson. They signed Mike Williams this offseason. They got Davante Adams in the mix now. Do they try and trade someone like Mike Williams, or what are they going to do here?
Yeah,
we'll see.
I think that's the plan.
We'll see. It'll be interesting just how quickly Rodgers and Adams can connect again. It's looking like Adams is on track to play this weekend. So
yeah,
we'll see what that looks like.
Yeah, I think they'll be fine. All right, let's make our
Pittsburgh
picks.
Too. So that's
I didn't
a tough
even
game.
realize that.
Yeah, that'll be a tough game. That must be like a primetime game.
We're actually going to make our picks right now, so we can dive into it. Let's start with the game that's going on right now. We've got Broncos Saints. It just kicked off. They're only 2 minutes in.
0-0 game. I'm going Broncos.
Same. Let's do the London game. Oh wow, that's a really shitty London game. Patriots and Jaguars, both teams 1-5.
I got the Jaguars. They're the home team in London. They play multiple games there. They got to get a win for their fans.
I think so. I think the Jaguars defense is a little better than the Patriots, so I'm going to take Jaguars. Here we go, baby. Seahawks and Falcons.
Falcons by 75.
Yes, absolutely. Love it. Titans, Bills. Bills by 75.
that could be a little bit more realistic. I got the Bills.
Bengals and Browns.
You got to pick that game too. You took Bills by 75?
Yeah.
In Cleveland, I'm going to go with the Bengals here. They're just on paper and on the field a better team.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad media with the Browns right now, so I'll take Bengals. This one's really interesting. So Texans and Packers. Yeah. This is at Lambeau. Packers.
I got Texans.
Packers managed to stay afloat while Jordan Love was out. I struggle with this one, man. Their defense is looking pretty good, but so is the Texans. I'll say Texans. I think CJ Stroud's been pretty good, but not really that dominant, and this could be a game that kind of makes him erupt the rest of the year. This one should be pretty easy. Dolphins, Colts.
It makes me want to puke. I'm going to take the Colts.
Yeah. Same. Lions and Vikings. This is a good one.
This one's good one.
This one's in Minneapolis.
I'm going to go with the Lions. I have a hard time going against the Vikings because they just always surprise you. But,
I want to say the same. Jared Goff hasn't been crazy impressive this year. He's got
Dan Campbell
yards.
is going to give a hell of a speech without Aidan Hutchinson. He's going to get the boys riled.
I'll say the Vikings just for fun, but that one's hard. All right, we've got this one's interesting. Okay, Eagles and Giants. Saquon Barkley revenge game.
I'm going Giants.
You're out of your mind. I'm taking the Eagles.
All right, 3-2 versus 2-4. It's not very out of mind, man. Malik Neighbors coming back.
Still
Daniel Jones. He's gonna go off, man. You watch.
Danny Pennies. All right, we've got Raiders and Rams at the Rams.
I got Rams there.
Yeah, I do too. Panthers and Commanders. This one should be easy.
Yeah. As much as I want to call Commanders flopping a little bit, we'll save that for the following week. I'll go with the Panthers.
Panthers?
Sorry, Commanders.
I was going to say, I had to check you there for a second. All
Yeah,
right.
Commanders.
Me too. Chiefs 49ers. This one could be interesting because 49ers haven't looked that great. If they lose another game, they are 3-4. They might be in trouble.
Yeah, must-win game for the 49ers at home. I think they're going to beat the Chiefs here.
Yeah, Pat Mahomes hasn't looked all that impressive. I think I'm going to side with you and say 49ers win that game. We've got Jets and Steelers. This one's in Pittsburgh on Sunday night.
Jets need something good, and they're going to get a good win at Pittsburgh on Sunday night. I feel like, I don't know, sports are weird. I feel like Davante is going to have like 200 yards and 2 touchdowns, and that's going to be the talk of the town. So I'm going to go Jets.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I think Jets are going to win that game. And then we've got 2 Monday night games. So we've got Ravens and Buccaneers in Tampa.
That's a fun one. I'm going with the Bucks.
I think the Ravens are going to win this one. I think they'll win pretty big too.
I think you're out of your mind.
And then we've got Chargers and Cardinals out here in Arizona.
You going?
Yeah, front row.
This is a tough one, Kev. Cardinals looked a little frisky at first, but now they just look bad. Chargers got like no weapons. I'll say the Cardinals win, but I think it'll be close and ugly.
Chargers are actually the favorite as the away team.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
I think Kyler's going to have a good game. I think this is a game that Kyler pops off. Chargers defense really doesn't look crazy impressive, so I think Cardinals are going to win that one. All right. I think – oh, no, we have one more thing here. I'll let you dive into this. So this is our last topic before we dive into Chicago stuff. Some Macklin Celebrini news came out this week.
Yeah, before we dive into that, just buckle up. It's going to be a long episode. A lot of Chicago stuff to talk about, too. So Macklin Celebrini, the first overall pick in the NHL draft, made his debut with the Sharks, had a nice goal, was really exciting, and then had to get put on IR after his first game. So kind of disappointing, and I need to double check this here. No, I was going to say maybe leading into our next segment, but not quite. The unfortunate part about Macklin Celebrini getting hurt is it's Thursday night when we're recording this, like I mentioned. Blackhawks have their first home game tonight, and it's Sharks versus Blackhawks. So we were going to get Bedard versus Celebrini early on. That would have been really fun. Yeah. But unfortunately, he got hurt, and we will not see Celebrini. So,
do they have a time frame?
Last I checked, they didn't have one, but they might by now.
That's usually not a good sign. All right, let's jump into Chicago stuff. Like Sean said, we've got a lot to dive into here, so we're just going to jump right in. First topic we're going to talk about is Bulls. So the Bulls fell to the Grizzlies at home in their second preseason game Saturday night. Zach LaVine is looking pretty nice so far in the preseason. He looks healthy. He finished with 28 points in only 22 minutes. Which if you watch Zach last year, he struggled a lot with consistency, so that's really nice for him.
Yeah, Zach looked awesome. He got off to a hot start in that game. 28 points in 22 minutes or something like that. And the nice thing is, if you're a Bulls fan, we don't know how long we're going to see Zach LaVine for in Chicago. He's probably going to get traded. So the fact that he's looking healthy and looking good, hey, that helps. So
helps trade value too.
Yeah, that's my point. So it's good seeing him back on the court and looking good. And I have been watching quite a bit of the Bulls. He does look like he's buying into what they have going on. Like he doesn't seem like he's going to be like a drag to have around, which is good too. So
it helps. I mean, especially when you got younger guys.
Yeah. I'll get into specifics about that. It's for a later talking point, but
Okay.
Yeah. So
Dalen Terry chipped in. He had 11.7 rebounds, 4 assists for a guy that's been a pretty big question mark since he got drafted. It's nice to see him kind of fill out the stats a little bit.
he's hurt now.
Yeah, I don't know how much we're going to get to see of him for a bit here. But Julian Phillips, another recent
Also
draft
hurt
pick.
now.
he had a strong preseason before this game. I think it was Saturday. He finished with like 21 points, 8 rebounds off the bench too. So
I gotta say, I love Julian Phillips. I am like fully.
Oh, I thought there was a but here.
No, I'm investing in. He's gonna be my guy this year.
Yeah, he's kind of a spark plug, which is
Yeah.
good. That's what we need. I mean, Modest will be very similar too. But
He's also hurt right now.
is he really?
Yeah,
I didn't see that one. Wow, Jesus
they're
Christ.
all three of them are day to day, but they all missed the last game.
Wow. All right. Well, speaking of last game, the Bulls lost to the Bucks. Handful of those starters.
They missed. Yeah, no, they were in that game. They missed the one after that.
Got it. Handful of the starters got rest that game. That's what it was. And Adama Sanogo had a chance to start. This dude, man, I don't know why
Beast.
he doesn't get more time.
Right?
Every time he plays well. He had 16 points and 15 rebounds. It's like he's back on UConn. I don't know why he doesn't get more minutes because he's
I hope
nothing
he does
but
this
productive.
year.
I do
Like,
too.
We don't. I get why Vooch plays. Like we have to play him because he's getting paid like $20 million. But I wish he would just sit on the bench and let Sanogo play. Like let's see what it actually looks like during the regular season. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, we got nothing to lose. I remember when we managed to sign him undrafted. I was pumped. I was like, hell yeah.
I got his jersey.
We got probably the best undrafted guy in this year's draft.
And NBA history.
I mean, if he plays like this, maybe. And then I think, honestly, a pretty big storyline here, a guy that's been out for 2 years, Lonzo Ball, finally made his return to the court last night against the Timberwolves. It was his first game since January of 2022, which, when you stop and think about that, that's absolutely insane. He's been out of basketball for that long. He finished with, I want to say...
10 points.
10 points. Okay. He was, what was it, 2 of 2 from 3? Or 3 of 3?
2 of 4, 4 of 6 from the field, and he has a hard 16-minute minutes restriction. He played 15 minutes, had an assist, had a steal, and looked pretty good, all things considered. One thing I was, and it was only game 1, but I was like, what's his pace going to look like? What's he going to look like running around? Is he going to be not even remotely close to what he was? I mean, I don't think he's going to be making some of the moves and cuts he did before, but in terms of like pace and like attacking the basket and stuff, like I was like, okay, he doesn't look bad.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, his first bucket was just a corner 3, but his form looked good. It looks like he's not skipping a step with being out for 2 years, which is surprising because you would definitely expect that. So I hope for a nice season for Lonzo. I mean, he definitely earned it.
Yeah. Yeah, he'll probably be coming off the bench. He'll be on a minutes restriction, probably maybe
Half
all
the year.
I don't know.
Half the year for sure.
But one thing I was going to bring up that I alluded to earlier about Zach LaVine is, so after the game, Kobe White grabbed a game ball. They gave it to Lonzo. It was a cool little celebration. And then the team also got one of Lonzo's jerseys. They all signed it. Zach LaVine had some nice words for Lonzo, just being like, hey, like, I love you. We love you. We got your back. We're so happy for you to be able to come back on the court. And we're so happy that we get to experience this moment with you. Like, congratulations. And let's keep getting you out there. So pretty cool moment. And good to see Zach as the guy that stepped up and did a talk like that, because, he was always kind of the dark cloud hanging over the Bulls this year, and heading into this year, it was like, what's he going to be like around the team? Seems like a pretty damn good guy to me. So,
yeah, it seems like something shifted. I don't know what. I don't know if we'll ever know what, but it seems like something shifted.
I'm guessing, if the rumors were true about how he was, not wanting to be around, things like that, he probably had a realization that, hey, maybe this doesn't look good for teams that want to trade for me. Maybe I just need to be happy to be where I'm at and be myself and not, think in the future and just appreciate what I have now. So,
yeah. Especially, I mean, when he got drafted, dude, he was nothing but a dunk artist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it took a while for him to develop his game. But, all right, let's dive into, and I'm going to let you take the reins here. Blackhawks talk, team that plays in the same building. Kind of a rough start to the season for them. But I'll let you dive into more details.
Gonna expect it, I guess. I don't know. They got their first win of the season this past Saturday in Edmonton, which was sweet. And Connor Bedard had a goal and 2 assists in that game. Teuvo Teravainen had 2 goals and 2 assists in that game. Those two really started clicking, which was good to see. Their line mates. Looks like it's gonna be that way, at least for now. I don't know. Maybe they tweak it down the line, but those two have been playing together every game. So nice to see them starting to find that connection. As of yesterday, Bedard, Teravainen, and Seth Jones were all tied for 4th in the NHL with 5 points this year. So, team's not off to a great start, but we got some guys that are contributing, which is good to see. That win against Edmonton on Saturday too, that was coming off a overtime loss to the Jets on Friday night. So quick turnaround, but nice to see like the team bounce back. On Friday night, they had Arvid Soderblom in net, and he actually played way better than I thought he was going to. He almost shut him out. He gave up a goal late in the third period, and I didn't say this out loud because I was watching the game by myself, but I thought to myself, I said, I'm wondering if the wheels fall off a little bit here now with this game, and sure enough, went to overtime and took the Jets a couple minutes to win it in overtime. Not the New York Jets, the Winnipeg Jets, for those who are wondering. So they lost that game in overtime, and then they played Calgary on Tuesday. They lost that game. I don't think they ever had the lead. Just kind of an ugly game from start to finish for them. But they got their home opener tonight against the Sharks. This is probably a winnable game for them, so we'll see what that looks like. But be nice. Bedard's got 1 goal on the year and a bunch of assists, but it'd be nice to see him start to score some more goals. So go Hawks.
My fantasy team agrees with you. Honestly, I was pretty impressed with their win over Edmonton. I think for where they were at so far this year, that was a nice win for them. And like you said, the Sharks should be a dub considering they were one of the worst teams in the NHL last year. So
I got to look it up because I'm curious. Looking at granted this is Chicago talk, but just looking at the NHL here, talking about bad starts, Edmonton is 1-3 to start the year.
Wow.
So Colorado 0-4 to start the year.
Yeah, their goalie Gorgiev or whatever has been horrendous. I had to bench him.
You have my fantasy, don't you?
Yeah, he gave up like 5 goals and 3 goals. I'm like, this guy's horrendous.
And then, not really a surprise, but I don't know. Maybe it is because it's different. But Utah, they're 3-1-1 to start the year. So
yeah, I'm not really that surprised. The Yotes were playing really well towards the end of last year, and I feel like last year was kind of like, I don't know, like a pivot year for them. So they're kind of picking up where they left off.
So
let's jump into some Bears talk. So to recap, the Bears versus Jags in London. The Bears are the fucking best team in the NFL and maybe in NFL history after what we saw in London. All jokes aside, Caleb Williams, you talk about a coming out game. That was it right there. He looked absolutely phenomenal. 4 touchdowns, 1 interception.
Should have been 5.
Yeah, honestly, the DJ Moore one. He has just looked so nice the last couple games. This London game was huge for him. I saved it here on Twitter. Highest graded quarterback in week 6 was Caleb Williams. He had 6 incomplete passes against the Jaguars in London. 3 of those were throwaways. 1 pass was batted by the defensive line. 1 pass hit an offensive lineman in the helmet, and 1 of them was an interception. So when you think about it, he was 23 of 24 on all of the aimed passes towards an intended receiver, which is a 95% completion percentage. This is just like, dude, it's just insane. And then he goes and wins the Aaron Ground Player of the Week for week 6.
But not Rookie of the Week.
No, because apparently he's not good enough for that. But
he's not a rookie anymore.
Yeah. He looked absolutely incredible. Cole Kmet, hell of a game for him. Keenan Allen kind of had.
I was gonna say it's hard to talk about London without talking about what Cole Kmet just pulled off.
Yeah, Special Teams Player of the Week, dude.
Yep. For those who maybe didn't catch it, Cole Kmet is a tight end for the Chicago Bears. Our long snapper got hurt. Cole Kmet is the backup long snapper, so he had to do, I think, 5 snaps,
something like
in,
that,
in the game, and he caught 2 touchdowns. So pretty cool performance. Can't say. I mean, I don't know off the top of my head. I don't know if anyone really knows, but that could be that's only happened in NFL history that time. Like maybe that hasn't happened before, where you have at least 5 snaps and 2 or more touchdowns. So pretty cool. Something that we'll probably remember forever.
Yeah, he said he was really nervous going into it too. He's like, thank God I scored the touchdown and snapped right away, because if I had time to think about it, I probably would have muffed it. Yeah, and then Keenan Allen too. I mean, he didn't have he had 5 receptions for 41 yards, but still had 2 touchdowns. Had a really nice grab as one of those touchdowns, and the pass was absolutely perfect from Caleb. No shocker here. DeAndre Swift has continued to play really well. 17 carries, 91 yards, average of 5.4 yards.
I think all Bears fans need to apologize to that man, because he has been freaking rock solid for the last 3 weeks.
Yeah. I mean, he's just running north, man. He's playing really well. He's looked awesome. So, yeah, overall, absolutely incredible game for Bears fans. I was up at 6:30 to watch it, so I was pretty damn happy that it was worth it for me. But I don't know if you had any other takeaways yourself.
Not really. Just kind of looking around here.
We're 4-2 right now, going into a bye.
Yep, 4-2. Torrey Taylor's still a weapon.
Yeah,
he had 2 he had 2 punts in the game for 123 yards.
Dude, it's just insane.
I guess looking at it from the other side of the game here, Jaguars are bad, man. I don't know where this team goes. Trevor Lawrence is playing a little bit better, but man, for what you've invested in him, you got to be sick to be 1-5 right now.
They had 3 fumbles that game too. That's just they're not taking care of the ball. I'm looking on the defensive side of things. They had 3 sacks that game. Roy Robertson Harris, former Bear, had one of them.
Yeah, and he just got traded. I forget who he went to, but he just got traded as well.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think we caught the Jaguars at the right time too. They're having a pretty rough start to the year, so you have to take that into consideration. Bears got in London way earlier than Jaguars did, so maybe that's
I'm glad
part of
they
it,
did that too, because I think that maybe loosened some of the guys up, let them enjoy a little bit of London, and B, let them get acclimated quite a bit. It looked like it was cold, probably colder than it is back in Chicago right now, and then obviously time change is a huge factor too. So one thing I noticed, I don't know when the Bears got home, but Tuesday morning, Caleb was at the gym early. He posted on his Instagram story of him on a Stairmaster or something, and I was like, what the hell?
Straight from the airport, dog.
Yeah. I was like, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, I don't know when they got back, and I don't know because of time change too, but I think Eberflus said that they were just basically going to head right home from after the game,
Yeah.
So I don't know. They have a bye week this week. Anything you're looking for with them on a bye?
Yeah. I got 2 things I want to see coming out of the bye here. Number one, and this might just work out very well in my favor to bring up right now. I want to see Montez Sweat get going a little bit more. He's got 2.5 sacks this year. Want to see him do a little bit more damage. Now, I know for him, we don't have anyone else on the opposite side of him. We got Dexter in the interior, who's great, but we don't have another edge rusher that's, able to draw attention away from Sweat. And I say this could work out really well for me because the Bears are playing the Commanders next. So could have a little bit of a sweat revenge game here where he could pop off and have 2-3 sacks. So I want to see him come out and get going after having some time off and being refreshed. And then my other thing that I want to see, and maybe this is wishful thinking with a rookie quarterback, but I feel like Caleb has gone through phases here where he gets attached to one particular receiver for a game or maybe 2 games or something. We saw it with DJ Moore where he was linking up with him quite a bit. We just saw it with Cole Kmet where he's been linking up with him quite a bit over the last few weeks. And now we're seeing him link up with Keenan Allen quite a bit in the same game. I'd love to see him spread it out a little bit more, maybe get a couple touchdowns to, one to Moore and one to Allen and one to Odunze in a game, or, one to Kmet and one to Odunze and one to Allen in a game. Just kind of spread out those touchdown passes a little bit more. Hell, I'll even let Mercedes Lewis get involved if he wants to get involved too. But it'd be nice to kind of see him start to, and I know he's a rookie, and if you're hot with a guy and you got good chemistry with a guy, you're gonna just, he's naturally gonna want to go to them. And obviously it's situational too. Like in the red zone, Keenan Allen's gonna get a lot of receptions. Cole Kmet's gonna get a lot of receptions. But to see him spread the love a little bit more with his receivers in the game.
And maybe that just goes back to the reads thing, right? Like we talked about the statistics behind him not going to his first read. Maybe spreading the ball out, that's what we're seeing. Maybe it was the first read to spread the ball out to another receiver. He didn't like what he saw there and decided to go back to DJ or to go back to Keenan. So who knows? But I agree. I'd like to see the wealth spread out a little bit more. What I would love to see, guys get healthy, man. Like we haven't really gotten hurt too bad with injuries. We were without Jaquan Brisker last week. We definitely need him back. He is a key part to our defense. Tevin Jenkins, he's been on and off the injury report.
Another point to bring up. Elijah Hicks, I thought actually played pretty damn well filling in too.
Yeah, he did. He played nice. But I don't think we can rely on that consistently. So
no.
Let's get Jaquan back. Tevin Jenkins, let's get him healthy this week. There was another defensive lineman that was pretty consistently on the injury report this year. Tyreek Stevenson, we need him healthy. Kyler Gordon,
he was gone.
Yeah, Kyler Gordon's been on and off the injury report, on a consistent basis. So I just like to see these guys get healthy because if we're 4-2 right now, we've got a lot of divisional games coming up. We're going to need these guys in the long run. So that's really all I'm asking for in the bye week is just rest, recharge, get healthy, and let's get ready for one hell of a run.
Yep. Have some fun. Enjoy the wins, enjoy a little bit of time off, and get ready for a big one against Washington because let me tell you, for content purposes, we're gonna need to put the hurting on them. We're gonna need it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna need 6 touchdowns, Caleb.
Washington's that game's kind of a wild card.
They didn't give you Rookie of the Week. It was them. Washington chose it. Remember,
They stole it. Yeah. And we've got a couple wild card games too, right? Like you've got the Commanders. After that is our game that we're going to at the Cardinals. Patriots. Who knows? Maybe Drake May gets on a heater here, and that's an interesting game. But then you've got Packers. Yeah. Then you got Packers. You've got Vikings. You've got Lions. 49ers. Vikings. Lions. So
that's so many good games there.
Yeah, that's a pretty big stretch right there. So. Just get healthy. That's all I can ask for the Bears this week. Now, this topic, me and Sean have been sitting on, waiting on for pretty much the entire episode. Jerry Reinsdorf didn't necessarily announce himself, but somebody from The Athletic announced that he has been in active discussions with Dave Stewart to sell the White Sox. Now, there have been a lot of opinions going around here on, is this just a move to try and get the city to pay for a new stadium? Are the White Sox going to relocate to Nashville? What is the meaning behind this? And honestly, I don't think anybody but Jerry Reinsdorf really knows. Maybe Dave Stewart. Maybe he's being honest with Dave Stewart. I don't know. But I think that this is kind of a sit and wait storyline to see, what the underlying message is here.
Yeah, I think it is a lot to unpack. And I think I do have a fun exercise for us as well at the end of this. So don't let me forget to go over that. I I think, it's the most White Sox thing, right? Where all any White Sox fan wants, for the most part, he does have some pretty strong backers, but we just want Jerry Reinsdorf to sell the team. We could be so much better off without him. We won in 2005. We're grateful for that. But outside of that, just it's a horrible franchise. One of the worst owners in sports. If it weren't for Michael Jordan falling into his lap, he probably would be the worst owner in sports. So you would think with news like this would be something to be celebrated. With Dave Stewart's name being linked to this active discussion about selling the White Sox, that makes me think that, and this is just my opinion, if he does sell it to Dave Stewart, I think Jerry knows the team's going to move, and that's his way of being like, well, I sold the team, I didn't move him, so I'm not the bad guy. Yeah. Dave Stewart's the bad guy. You
got what you
Dave
wanted.
Stewart. Yep. Yeah. I kept the White Sox in Chicago. Regarding the stadium thing, like it could be a ploy to get another stadium built, but he's done this before. I have a hard time believing the city will bite on this again. And at the same time, too, while I'm sitting here doubting this report and stuff, like it could be possible that maybe he is actually exploring selling the team. But if that's the case, then it won't go to Dave Stewart. If it's an honest sale, someone else will step up and pay more money than he can.
Oh, it'll go to the highest bidder. That's all he cares about.
Yep, and he would sell to them. If it's anything else, whether the team moves, it'll go to Dave Stewart. If he's looking to get a new stadium, I think he doesn't sell the team. I don't know. Maybe he lets someone else take care of that for him and does sell, and someone else gets him into another stadium. But I would be very surprised if this ended with him just honestly selling the team.
Yeah, I think so too, and that's the best outcome, unfortunately. But what's your exercise you have for us? Because I have one too.
Okay, I have a fun exercise, and I'm going to have you answer it first.
I wonder if we have the same one.
maybe we do. It'd be wild if we did. I have thought about this already. So, if the White Sox get sold, and if the White Sox move to Nashville, will you still root for the White Sox?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I've tried to root for the Diamondbacks, and I just can't get behind. I've tried this before, and I just can't get behind a new team. I grew up. It's like a nostalgia thing. It's a toxic nostalgia thing, but yes, I would.
Okay. I would not.
What would be your team?
I don't know. Yeah. And so I look at it from a couple different angles. I just think like I am a White Sox fan because I was born and raised in the Chicago area. That if it weren't for that, I would not be a White Sox fan. So that opens the door. Do you just turn around and root for the Cubs as the other Chicago team? I think the way I would approach it, and this is like obviously just like forward thinking, this might not even happen, but I think the way that I would approach it is I would probably go and do an MLB season watching random games and just saying like, who do I pick up on? Who I
has
enjoy?
The best chance to win the World Series this year?
I can't do that. I can't. So like I would immediately rule out like the Dodgers, the Yankees, like the Mets, like teams like that. I just like if I were to just pick up a new team, I couldn't like a team that's good. Like it would have to be like a very average team, I think.
Angels.
But
that's a pretty comparable team, honestly.
Yeah. But I don't know, it'd be really hard for me to be able to still follow the team if they just packed up and moved. It would kind of ruin it for me, and I think like seeing them have success would hurt too. Like I would be like, gosh, that should have been Chicago, So I think I wouldn't really ever be able to get over that. So I think I would maybe explore something new.
They'd make the playoffs the first year they're in Nashville if they made the move.
Yeah, they win the World Series. I'd be like, what?
All right, well then my exercise is going to be even harder for you then. You have two outcomes. You have to pick one.
Okay.
White Sox move to Nashville, and you stay a White Sox fan. White Sox stay in Chicago. Jerry Reinsdorf remains the owner, and they get a new ballpark.
So I have to be a White Sox fan no matter what?
No. Well, yeah. Let's assume you have to stay a White Sox fan. Would you rather them go to Nashville
Yeah,
and
100%. That's not even a trick question.
you still be a White Sox fan, a Nashville White Sox fan, or they stay in Chicago, get a brand new stadium in that cool area, the 78, I think it's called, and Jerry Reinsdorf
And Jerry
remains
remains the owner.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I would. They can go to Nashville.
I think I'd have the other. Not that I really have this patience, but Jerry's already 88 years old. The man's not going to be around for a whole lot longer. So I think I'd probably just play the long ball here and hope that, after he sells or passes, that we'd be in good place after that. But it's hard. It's hard, man.
Playing devil's advocate here, if he's holding on to the White Sox that near and dear, does he just pass it down to his fucking his family after that? Like
I don't think they want it, dude.
this is why I can't be in that situation, because I'm fired up and I said that they can go to Nashville.
I don't think they want it, and honestly, I wouldn't blame them if they didn't. But yeah, we'll have more on that story. I think right now there's a lot of smoke and mirrors, so we'll find out probably a lot more in the coming weeks, and I think we should have an answer definitely before next season starts. So stay tuned on that, and stay tuned for next week's episode too. I know we went about average. Hour 20 is typically what we've been going at. So thanks again for tuning in, guys. We appreciate it. As always, our 5 followers mean a whole lot to us. So thank you guys, each and every 5 of you. We will be back with next week's episode. Per usual, if there's anything you want us to dive into and discuss, shoot us a message. We'd be happy to do so. Take care, y'all.